Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Matt. Some of you may know my very special guest as Nikole from HealthNut Nutrition. Very beautiful, very talented.
Oh.
Get brownie points for that.
I know. He doesn't say that in real life, but
well,
hello.
Don't tell people. So today we're going to do a Q&A video. We've been getting some great questions on all the YouTube videos that we've been putting up for the last few weeks. And Nikole put out there on her social, on Instagram, asking people for what questions you guys might have about real estate, about investing, about e-commerce,
Side
hustles, working together as a couple, like how that works. So we took all the questions that we got. There was a lot of questions.
Yeah, you guys sent in some really, really good ones.
Yeah, very good questions. So this is actually going to be a two-part video because we wanted to make sure we got to all of your questions, as many as we could. So we're going to do, I don't know, probably 10, 20 questions today, and then we'll do a bunch more in the next video that will go up next week. So make sure you stay tuned and don't miss that one.
And make sure you're subscribed so you guys don't miss out on next week's part 2.
Yes.
And we try to do like a combination of like business, but also like working as a couple, which is why I'm here today.
Yeah, so we'll kind of jump back and forth between real estate and business / entrepreneurship type questions.
I'll tell you how it really is working with Matt.
Oh yeah, there we go. How did you get started? What was your first rental property? So funny enough, we actually just did a video on our first rental property. So if you want to watch that and kind of get a more in-depth on that property, the numbers and the breakdown. Getting started with real estate, it was definitely a lot of research. So before even buying a property or getting into it, I spent quite a lot of time just doing research. You know, I knew real estate was interesting and I wanted to get into it, but obviously I was probably 25 at the time, didn't have money at the time. So I was really just learning about it to try to see how I could get into it and where I could fit in. So it was going to a lot of events. It was going to a lot of like networking.
You were also following a lot of blogs and
email
lists.
Yep, following a lot of blogs, newsletters,
magazines.
Reading a ton of books, real estate magazines, HGTV. I don't really think HGTV paints the full picture for people, but it's still
it's like the Hollywood style.
Yeah, and it can spark that interest, right? Where you kind of see people doing cool stuff, and it kind of gets you a little bit of fire. So it's good for that. But obviously, there's a lot more involved than what you'll see on HGTV. But it definitely was a bit of a catalyst too when I'm seeing people doing cool stuff. You're like, that looks fun. I want to do that.
And I just want to say too, like Matt and I had like our own separate interests in real estate before we met.
True.
And then when I met Matt, it was like kind of something we had in common. You know, I've mentioned this before on my channel, but my grandparents have invested in real estate and now they're like happily retired. They're doing very well. And I kind of always saw that when I was younger and was very intrigued. So I knew I wanted to get into like flips and stuff. And I knew I was wanting to eventually invest in real estate, but I really didn't know like the how. So when I met Matt, I felt like it was like the perfect match because you were the one
had the how.
Yeah, you had the how.
I had the how.
And so I think it was a really good pair. Like we were both already interested in it because I feel like some couples, one is on board, one's not. It's very common. But with us, like we were both like, yes, real estate. You know?
Yeah, very true. And so the first property we got was actually a 4-plex. So you can learn about that. Go watch the video because you can really get a full breakdown. Real estate, what percentage of down payment do you use? Do you ever go over 20%? So really until we bought this home that we're living in now, we never did 20% down. Reason for that, we never had 20% down.
20% is a lot.
So for us, leverage was extremely important. We didn't have 20% down. We usually only had 5, and sometimes we didn't really have 5, but we had a portion of the 5, and then we kind of took advantage of a line of credit or something else to give us that 5 that we needed to get into real estate. So it's not always the best way to get into real estate. There's other ways that you can get into it. You could work with a joint venture partner or someone who has a 20%. But for us, we didn't really have that luxury. We didn't have the 20%. So we just went in on properties with 5% down. Some of our properties at first were negative cash flow, but we knew what our big picture was, which was to just grow our portfolio. And then over time, we've been able to refinance and restructure things. So now pretty much all of our properties are like either cash neutral or cash positive. So for us, that was kind of our way. There was some stressful times because of that, but in the end, we knew we wanted to get into real estate. That was the only way that we could. So, that's what we did.
We had to do what we had to do.
Yeah. So leverage was a very crucial thing to grow our portfolio to where it is. Definitely something to look into. You can strategically use leverage and use the bank's money and still get into good properties. If you're doing that, you're probably looking for some more, multi-unit properties to be able to make the numbers work a little bit better. And I can go into that, more in depth too later on. So let's go business question. I think this is one that Nikole really liked. How many hours do you work per week? How about when you started? I feel like that's it's a bit of a hard question to quantify with we work 40 hours a week. I mean,
I know I work more than 40 hours a week. So if you're thinking, oh, I want to start my own business so I can work less and have more control of my time. I mean, yes, we have more freedom and flexibility with our time, but it's by no means less work. I know for sure it's more work. We both have done part-time jobs, regular full-time jobs, corporate. We've just done such a variety of jobs in our lifetime that I just now being an entrepreneur, it's always so weird. It's we're, business owners, but we are, and it's a lot of work. It's definitely more than 40 hours because I know for me, because my work is so interlaced with my personal life. Basically our life is the content that we use to post online. It's really hard to separate the two because it might be this weekend I was just telling Matt, I want to vlog because I'm 9 months pregnant. By the way, 9 months pregnant. You didn't know. Yeah, we didn't address that, but and it's one of those things yes, it's work if I want to vlog, but I also just want to document this time. Just like when the baby comes, I want to take a mat leave, but I also want to document that time. And it's a personal thing, but it's also work,
Yeah.
So it's hard to if I was to add up all the hours, but if I was to make a guess, 40 to 60 hours a week.
Yeah. And I mean, each week can vary. I would definitely say 7 days a week we're doing something work related. There's not really a day that we're not doing something. But the benefit is that we enjoy what we do. There's days that we don't enjoy what we do. There's things that we have to do that we don't enjoy. Don't get me wrong. But overall as a whole, we really enjoy what we're doing. We enjoy real estate. We enjoy the channel, which is part of the reason why we can work that many hours and work 7 days a week. And we don't really feel burnt out, right? Because we're doing what we like. We're growing. We're, building great communities. So it's kind of gives us that fire, I would say. I would definitely say we do, if I had to put a number on it, 50 to 60 hours, like you said. Do you have joint bank accounts and separate accounts? How do y'all combine finances or budget each other's income?
There were a lot of questions about how we manage our finances. I feel like it's such a taboo personal topic, money in general, but also money as a couple. Yeah. And around family, people tend to not talk about it a lot. So, funny enough, we don't actually have joint accounts. Come to think of it, when we actually think about it, we don't have any joint personal accounts. I don't know.
So business accounts, she's on it and I'm on it. We're both signing officers for business accounts. That way, things can be done without the other person being there if we needed to. But we don't actually have joint accounts personally. I have all my accounts, and also one thing to note, because I think it might be a question as well, is that even our real estate is owned separately. It's not owned jointly.
People are going to think we have an exit strategy right now, but
there's a strategic reason for why we have things separate. It's not for everyone, but for us it was just okay. In order for us to grow our portfolio to where it is, we had to be able to buy properties individually. So we were buying properties individually to maximize what we could get as individual people. And now when we kind of hit that cap, it's can't really get any more as an individual. Now we can come together, combine our incomes jointly, and it will allow us to qualify for a few more properties. Everything's separate on paper, but everything that we do, it's all discussed jointly. So everything that comes out of Nikole's accounts, we both know about, we both talk about, we both have access to each other's accounts so we could go on and see if we needed to. But I think because we're both in this together for the big picture, we both sort of trust each other, and we talk about our finances
Matt and I are a few years apart, but basically, you know, we both saved money. We traveled for 2 years. We came back and we kind of were at the same point. We both had some savings from working and traveling, but you know, neither one of us had property. Neither, like, HealthNut Nutrition wasn't really a thing.
No.
So, because I was just talking to my mom about this topic earlier today, and she made a good point. Like, you know, you built your wealth together, so it's never like, oh,
Separately but together, right? I see what you mean.
Yeah. So it's never been like, well, this is like my thing, that's your thing. You could say, like, we both had nothing and we were built up together, so everything is just kind of split down the middle. When I make money, it goes into the family pot. When Matt makes money, it goes into the pot. And then we have things kind of separate because we have different businesses and things have to be allocated. We can't just have all of our money in one pot because of the corporations we have.
I mean, if you both don't know about each other's finances, you're not open about it, like how can you honestly, like, work together towards a common goal, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have shared knowledge about it, then you're just keeping secrets, so you're not really both all in it to win it, right? Everything that we do, we still talk about, right? So even though everything's individual, property wise, you know, some of the businesses, everything was talked about before. I don't just go and buy a property and be like, oh, hey, I bought a property today.
No.
By the way, you know, maybe as we continue to grow, it might not be so much when it's more we're buying properties as a business as opposed to for us personally to have for our own retirement plan and our net worth. When we're doing it more as a business, it'll be a different structure, right? But so here's one. It kind of came a couple of different times. How do you start investing when you're broke? Are you able to start investing in real estate with little capital? I think there was a couple of questions around there. So
everyone's got to start from somewhere.
Yeah. So yes, you can certainly do real estate investing with none of your own money, you know. And by that, I don't mean those, you know, get a property for free, those kind of get rich quick schemes. But there's definitely a lot of viable ways that you can get into real estate investing with none of your own money. One of the ways is to actually be someone who goes out and just networks and finds great deals. Because if you find great deals, there's someone out there who'll be willing to partner with you if you can present that deal to them and show them, like, hey, if you put your money up, like, we're going to make a couple $100,000 on this property here. Like, do you want to partner in? Like, yeah, someone came to me and said, I got this deal. Do you want to put some money up? And here's what we're going to make. Here's the numbers that I've broken down. I've already got the deal locked up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm buying into that deal. So that's one way that you can get into it with very little of your own money, is just by going out there and finding deals and then connecting that deal with an investor who would work with. So that's one way. Another way is similar thing is wholesaling. So you can go out there, you can find deals, and you can turn around and maybe instead of partnering with someone, you can actually just sell that deal to someone else and keep a little bit of the spread for yourself. So you buy it, say, for $100,000, you turn around and sell it to someone else for 120. They complete all the work, finish that deal, and you know, they turn around and sell it for maybe 200. So you're still making 10, 20 grand spread as a wholesaler. So that's something to look into as well. But I think just if you don't have money and you're looking to get into real estate investing, like, the most important thing that you need to do is research. Like, you just need to learn, you need to network, you need to get into maybe you have a local group that does real estate investing, or maybe there's some, you know, Bigger Pockets is a really big US one that has a ton of great information about real estate investing. In Canada, there's RAIN, which is Real Estate Investor Networking Group, which is a good one, a lot of great info. Rockstar Real Estate is another great one here in Ontario. So there's some great resources out there that you can just start learning. And then as you learn more, you can start to see what you like, what interests you, where you want to go. So
also too, if you're the one with the knowledge, maybe you just need someone with the money, and then you're a team right there, right? So that's what you're bringing to the table.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there with a lot of money who just don't have the time or inclination to learn about real estate. So if you can be the one who knows that information, and you know, you can go out there and you can find partners to work with. So here's one. I think we kind of already touched on it, but do you own your own properties as individuals, or do you own it in a LLC or a corporation? For our first bunch of properties, just like I said earlier, it's all been individual. So I own, you know, 3 or 4 under my name. Nikole owns 3 or 4 under her name. And just now that we're getting to the size that we are, we're starting to look more at, you know, buying properties under a corporation. So here in Canada, it can be pretty difficult to
and
buy.
also together, as we, as we want to buy something bigger for a more permanent house, that's when we'll utilize like us both going in on a property.
But for corporation wise, it's it can be difficult to purchase a property under a corporation in Canada if you don't have any track record. If you opened up a business yesterday and you're like, oh, I want to buy this property under this company name, like most banks aren't going to do that here in Canada. The company needs to actually have a bit of a track record before you can actually find a bank that will lend to it. So that's one thing to keep in mind. In the States, I think it's a little bit easier to buy under an LLC. And I have heard that there can be some accounting advantages. There can be some, I'm sure, liability, legal advantages to that. I'm definitely not an expert on that topic. So something that you definitely want to ask some local real estate investors about that. But so far, it's all just been personal, and we're just now starting to buy things under corporations. So that's that. How to start a YouTube channel as a beginner and create a brand like you. So I think that's geared more towards Nikole.
There was a couple of like how to start a business, which honestly is such a vague question because unless I know the situation or the type of business that you're trying to start, it's hard to give advice. And even though I am an entrepreneur, it's even like I still find sometimes it's hard to give business advice.
Sometimes,
I don't know, I just started and I learned as I went. But one thing I always say is like don't get wrapped up in the logistics. Like I need a business plan. I need everything set up in a specific way in order to start. You don't. We still don't have a business plan. It's like...
That is true.
It's one of those things, I've just kind of been like, you kind of just learn as you go. I would definitely say, if you're looking to start, say, a YouTube business, Matt's a great example because he just started this channel. Yes, some may say, he's kind of piggybacking off. We already have a main channel that has been very successful. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if like your sister is a YouTube star or whatever, someone that's going to give you a shout out. If your content isn't like consistent and high quality, people aren't going to stay. They may come check out your first video and then like they're not staying. They might just come and leave. So it's really important to make sure that you're consistent with your content. It's engaging, you're providing value, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like such a niche item that like it's not talked about yet. It just means it's like your point of view on that subject. The other thing that's really important to mention is building a community. So not even just your own community online, but in like being engaged in it. Don't just like post, like leave, like engage in conversation in the comments. Go on other similar channels that you are interested in and communicate with that creator, but also building a community outside of the online world. So like you were saying, real estate network. So whatever field it is that your business is in, try to talk to other people who are also doing it. Build that community, because that's what I did when I first started YouTube. I was just trying to like build that community because I had no idea what I was doing. So I try to find other people who kind of knew what they're doing, or maybe they're in the same boat as me, but you're learning together, you're getting outside advice and inspiration, and there's so much content nowadays that you can really teach yourself. Like when I started YouTube, there was just not the resources that there are now.
No.
So like take advantage of that. There's so many like resources out there that it's like, it makes it so easy. All you really need to do is like be the action, like take action, be consistent, have good quality content, and it doesn't even mean you need like to spend all this money. It just means like I said, you just need to start, and don't worry about the business plan and stuff and having an accountant and doing your taxes.
Yeah,
that comes later. I still do the shoebox thing, and then Matt's like, oh my god. But we don't have all of our ducks in a row. Like there's so many things that we need to do better as a business, and we've been doing this now for years. So don't sweat about the small stuff. It's the taking action that's the most important thing.
Better to start and not be perfect than wait till things are perfect and then start, because things will never be perfect. I know even for me with starting this channel, I was, a little bit nervous. Just start, just put it out there. How is it working together as a couple? Tips on managing separate work goals and may conflict with each other. Okay.
We never have any issues. We never fight. We're just in La La Land.
No. I think one thing for sure to know is that when you're first working together, like there's a bit of a learning curve for sure of like where you can go with certain things, what you can do. I mean, it's one of the issues that we probably had when we were first kind of starting things together was I'm a bit more tough love, like straight to the point, like let's just move on. And Nikole doesn't like that way. She's more of a wants to, like be
a little like,
finesse, a
little pep talk,
little love.
You're doing great.
Yeah.
Matt likes the you could do better, you could do more. I
do
would
it.
Stress
right?
me out, and I'd be like, oh, I'm not doing good enough.
Yeah. So definitely a learning curve there. So I mean, like that's just real. It's just like something that we had to figure out, and like sure, we definitely had some arguments about it a little bit at the beginning. We definitely had some silent moments where like maybe I'd do something and Nikole would be like,
well,
get that face, right? Where she's like, but I think in the end it's like the important thing for that, I think that we learned was just to understand what works with each other, and like I had to adapt. I mean, it took a little bit because I'm used to a certain way, so it takes a bit to adjust my way of doing things that is a bit more, that works better for Nikole. So there is that, and just not letting it get to you. Like, sure, maybe there was times where we'd had to take a step away from each other, take a little bit and just do something separate. But then you go back and like you learn from it and say, okay, like, now I know better than to do that. Like, so next time I'm not really going to do that. And just to like learn and to be open. Communication was huge once again.
Working together like brought up this whole other side where you had one way that you wanted to run the business. I had another way, like, yes, Matt was like there from the beginning, from starting when I started HealthNut Nutrition, and like Matt's a huge part of HealthNut Nutrition, like why it exists and where it is today. But at the same time, I was kind of growing it while like Matt was, working and living in Alberta, and, and we were kind of just doing, when Matt was focusing more on real estate and I was focusing more on the channel. And then it wasn't really until we were like back living together and it was like a conscious decision to like, let's work as a team now for HealthNut Nutrition, because me by myself, I'm only going to get to a certain point. Like it was just too much for me. So I like needed Matt to be more involved. But at the same time, it was like bringing on a new partner that has a different idea of how things should be run. And you're such a more like analytical numbers. Like you wanted everything like a certain way, and I'm more free spirited and we'll just figure it out as we go. And so it just kind of, we butt heads, and it was like a sensitive topic. Like we would bring up things, and I remember we'd be like, oh, we have to stop talking about it.
There was times, but so I think one thing that was important as well that we had to learn a little bit through trial and error is just realizing that one of us is better at something and the other one is better at other things. So, say for marketing or social media stuff, like, well, obviously Nikole is way better at it than I am. So know your strengths. So even though I'll put my opinion in and be like, I think maybe this, in the end, if you're like, no, like I know this is the way we're going to do something because of experience, then it's like, okay, I'll relinquish that and be like, okay, fair enough. Like you know more than I do in that. So yeah, we'll go with that. Even though
the other person's like, you're the expert in that. Here's what I think, but ultimately, like you're the expert. Yeah. You make the final call. So you're the expert, like, and we do have that bit of division where it's like when it comes to real estate and finance and that, like, that's more my skill set. That's what I focus on. And like Nikole will put input in, but in the end, if I'm like, this is the right call, I know it because of the research that I've put in and the time I've spent, then like, we're going to make that call. Same with HealthNut, right? We're going to make that call based on. We state our cases. This is why I think this.
And it's good to hear a second opinion because I might think something and then Nikole comes up and says, oh, what about this? And I'm like, oh, actually, not a bad idea. Like, let's go with that, right? So.
And even still, like to this day, there's future business ideas that we have that just the other day we had a team meeting and, we were on different pages about something. So we're just kind of like talking it out. It's not fighting. It's not even arguing. It's just kind of, having a discussion that we both don't agree on the same thing. And that's okay. I think we separate, like, there's like work Nikole and Matt and like couple Nikole and Matt, and I'm not going to finish a work meeting with him and then be upset with him later. Like, I can't believe you didn't agree with what I said. Like, you got to keep them separate. Like,
Yeah.
you know, business and personal stuff, they're separate. We just happen to be involved.
Get over it, move on.
Yeah,
you
so
know?
I don't take it personally now. I'm just
No, me
state
neither.
my case. Yeah, but just know every couple that works together deals with the exact same thing. It's totally normal, but just keep communicating and work it out.
Yes.